And today we are going to talk about how the coronavirus is impacting our land investing business. And so we've got a few different things going on. Paul actually just got arrested last night, and so he's tuned in from the jail cell. Paul, you want to tell us what happened?
Yeah, I'm down here in Florida.
Oh, discuss. I'm here with Paul and David. Paul, my business partner, David, our sales manager. And today we are going to talk about how the coronavirus is impacting our land investing business.
Oh, wait.
And are we good?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm live here in Palm Beach County Jail. I was arrested for trespassing on the beach in the middle of the night. So I am waiting for Willie's funds to get wired to bail me out. So they were nice enough to give me a Zoom camera or a laptop to go live. They knew we were going live today. So yeah, I'm here in Palm Beach County Jail.
Yeah, so I guess tough things happen. I sent the wire, so we'll see if it comes through soon. But if not, I think it'll be okay.
It's a holiday. You might be stuck there for an extra day.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about it.
I think the banks are closed, so yeah, it might not come until Monday. You okay with that?
The comfort's nice over here.
All right, cool. David, where are you dialing in from?
I'm out here in beautiful Mexico, taking a little vacation. Had to get away from my apartment.
It looks pretty nice. It looks like surf's up in the background, so hopefully you got your surfboard.
Yeah, I have a boogie board as well.
That's good. I'm tuning in from San Francisco. So yeah, just trying to change things up. So but let's get into it. And the topic is about how the current situation and everything that's going on is currently impacting the business. And so I guess, Paul, how has this changed our investment strategy as we're going through this?
Honestly, I would say things have not really changed that much. Given that our sales volume is pretty much the same, maybe down a little bit. But with that being said, the way that we are changing is we've kind of put ourselves in a holding pattern for buying. So we're slowing down our buying, like probably for another week or two, because basically with what's going on with the economy, people are going to start wanting to sell, and they're going to want to sell urgently because people need cash right now. I don't know, Will, you're the banking guy. Why don't you kind of talk about that a little bit more with our buying strategy?
So we're still reviewing deals, and we approved about how many deals did we approve the last couple of days?
I know my dad bought 6 properties yesterday.
Yeah, so Paul's dad's buying a bunch of property for us. He's been helping us out a little bit and just sourcing some deals. But I guess we've approved over 10 deals this week at least. So I wouldn't say we're stopped. I mean, we probably stopped for about a week. But I mean, things will still be rolling. I think we'll continue to buy a lot. In terms of our overall strategy, in terms of like what we're doing, buying at our same price points, selling at our same price points, still focusing heavily on owner financing. I think all that's staying relatively the same. So in terms of like our core strategy, nothing really has changed. But yeah, I think we'll be starting to get. I mean, we've started to see that some people are looking to sell property who previously were not interested. And I actually had a couple people from a mailer over a year ago who reached out who were interested in selling this past week. So I think in terms of just fundamentals of what we're doing, not much has changed, but I think you're right. We'll start to see a bit more deals on the buy side.
How's my internet connection? The prison I'm paying by the minute right now.
It's all right. Yeah, your jail cell looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it's comfy. So Willie, how do you anticipate this impacting our terms buyers?
That is a good question. So if you guys are not familiar, Paul and I and David, our strategy is to do a high volume deals, and we sell a lot on terms, so utilizing our owner financing. And so in a stress scenario, it's going to be a situation where we're going to find out exactly what the appetite is to continue making payments. And so far, we haven't seen So I guess David would be able to discuss that in terms of like exactly what we're seeing for our company. But I would say for my old business, I'm still managing those notes and doing those things. I had one person who said that they were going to stop making payments, but she actually reached out to me a couple days ago stating that she's going to continue making payments. So I guess she panicked for a minute, but now she's in a better spot, so she's able to continue making payments. I've had a few people, I've had several people who've pushed back payments for about a month, and that's been totally okay by me. And so pushing things back 30 days, not a big deal. So not too many defaulters yet, but I think things will start to be okay in terms of yeah, I haven't seen any major default rates and just payments being pushed back. David, I guess what have you seen on that front?
I mean, these aren't like $1,000 mortgage like monthly payments. These are still only a couple $100s a month, and for the most part, a lot of our buyers are able to kind of just continue to afford it like they always have been able to. The people who are having a tougher time, like Willie said, I've extended a couple of people where we basically just waived this month's payment and then just moved it on to the end of their term. We're kind of trying to do whatever we can just to make sure people are comfortable and not in a position where they're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose the property. I'm freaking out. Like we've only had 2 buyers who maybe said, you know what, I'm not going to make payments anymore. And that's out of a couple hundred. So far things are looking pretty good. It's really not as big of a disaster as I think any of us thought it could be.
Yeah. So I agree with that. So we'll see how it goes. I think under a bad case scenario, we'll see I don't know 30 to 40% defaults like over the course of the time frame, but I don't think it's going to come anywhere near that. And the good thing about this is that we're able to we as the investors are able to retain the asset if people do start to default. And so I guess we'll talk a little bit about the fundamentals and why we're in a great position as land investors in this market. But yeah, I think that's a good summary of everything that's going on right now.
Here's a question. Do you guys have to deal with evictions sometimes? Looks like this is a new seller. He doesn't even know the words.
Evictions?
By evictions, you probably mean defaults, which we just talked about. So that's when
there's one situation with my old business. I'm dealing with that now, and I know I've talked to you about this, and you've understood like what's going on. But I've got this person with a camper on one of my properties, and so Andrew helped me find a lawyer to just like reach out to and like help to resolve this. And so I've been in contact with her, and this person, like I think they're getting off the property, but if they don't in the next like couple weeks, like they've been saying every next couple weeks, and so if they don't get off in the next few weeks, I will actually have to go through the eviction process and get them go through full legal process. I don't think it will come to that because I do think that they will get off the property. But so in terms of like legal costs and that kind of thing, we don't have to spend too much time and money on that just because everything's usually resolved before. And I've never had, knock on wood, I've never actually had to spend any like funds on legal expenses. So and yeah, I mean, we've got hundreds of terms buyers and so fortunately we're in a niche where we're pretty protected as a seller, and there's not too much that could go wrong. And yeah, so I would say the downside is pretty limited with everything that like understanding the business model. So that's not really been a big thing for us.
Here's another good one from Austin. I've heard another land guy say he had about a 50% default rate in the 2008 recession. Do you think you guys could handle something of that magnitude? And I think that absolutely. We had like basically a no default rate, as we mentioned before. And I don't know, Willie or David, do you want to help answer that question a little bit?
I mean, you stand to lose like even if everybody defaulted, you're not going to lose your properties. You're just going to sell them again, and there's going to be someone to buy them. I think that obviously like that cash flow every month from all of these buyers is an amazing thing, but the very worst case scenario, all that's going to happen is you're going to be tasked with reselling those properties again and just kind of making even more money because you're going to be making more money on top of the payments that people already made. So it's really not the end of the world if everybody defaulted. Like you're gonna make it.
Yeah, let's break that down a little bit. And what you mean by that is, okay, let's say someone paid for a year or 2 years, and they're on for like 3 years, and like, I can't pay this anymore. Well, on our business model, we've already recovered in less than a year all the money that it costed us for the property. So our worst case scenarios is we can't get anyone to repurchase that lot, and we're just stuck paying the taxes, which are anywhere from $5 to $200. So really, we want everyone to keep paying, but even if people start defaulting and they've paid for a while, it's actually to our benefit.
Or
your benefit as a land investor. It's to your benefit. Whereas like an apartment, it's a different situation.
Yeah, and so I've spent a considerable amount of time thinking about this, and so I mean, just looking at my old portfolio of notes just from my old business, people have paid in on average $4,000 to $5,000 in that range, and on properties that's probably selling for around 15 grand is maybe the average sale price for that business. Our sales price has gone up a little bit, but so say they paid 4 to 5 in that range in total payments, and so if they stop paying, it would be detrimental on their end. They've made those payments. I would get the asset back. It would be. I'm not saying that's a good thing if it happens. I'm saying from a financial standpoint, as the land investor, it is if 100% of people defaulted, that would be an unbelievable thing from a financial standpoint from my perspective, because I would just get all those properties back and just resell them. But that is literally best case scenario from just a standpoint of okay, my net worth just increased a ton because everyone defaulted who paid 4 to 5 grand into a property.
Well, Willie, think about it like this. I never even thought about that. If everyone defaulted, let's say of our, I don't know, what do we have, over 200 properties now? Let's say everybody stopped, then we don't have to buy properties again for, it actually would help our cash flow, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I would emphasize, though, that you don't want people defaulting.
No, absolutely not. It costs money to sell a property.
Free market. And I think that it's just, as far as a business goes, I've gone out of my way to work with our buyers and kind of make sure that everybody feels that they're going to still kind of be on track to not lose this property. I mean, just in general, you don't want to be the guy that says, oh, you gave me all this money, but you kind of broke the contract in some way. You're out. I'm going to keep your money. That's not the way that we do business. I don't think it's the way anyone should do business.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point. And we want to make our business model. I mean, there's a couple competitors that we follow, and there's one that does it well, one that does not do it well. And Paul, you definitely know who I'm talking about here. And one of them treats their customers right. They work with their customers. They allow them to miss a payment. I mean, if there's in a stress scenario, they will work with them, and that's exactly who we're modeling, because we want referral business. We want people to continue buying from us. We want people to be happy with their purchase. And there's this other guy who
don't they make you pay for a payment protection program to delay a payment? Like you have to pay to delay a payment. I forget how it works, but it's absolutely.
So they have a service where you can check a box on their site to say, okay, I will pay you whatever is $15 a month, so that I have the insurance to miss a payment over the course of the next couple of years. So that's the one that has the kind of scammy business model, and that's not who we're trying to be like at all. But I'm just from a total financial perspective, it is in the benefit of the owner of the property if someone defaults. And so so that's kind of, in terms of a risk standpoint, if you're worried about that as a point of view, you can hopefully be a little bit more secure with this business model because of that. And I mean, we always harp on the fundamentals of this being this business, and I mean that's why Paul and I both got into it, and they're so strong, and that's a big reason for it. And so I think that's just a really good. I mean, that's just another reason why this is such a good business. Okay, I don't know if there are any other questions in the groups, but let's keep this going, I guess. So I guess, Paul, how do you think this will change the market price for land in the event of a downturn like we're seeing?
I think on the buy side, it's going to drop. When we're going out to purchase properties, we're already seeing it, and we kind of just touched on this before, but prices are just drop. We haven't dropped any of our prices on the selling side. I don't know, just because of the way that our business model works. Even if it's a $30,000 property or $40,000 property. The way that our payment system works is it really can work for anybody. And maybe the sell side will drop a little bit, but really I don't see it dropping that much. But the sell side or the buying side, the prices are definitely going to drop off. I don't know, maybe 10, 20%. What do you think, Willie?
Yeah, so I'm not really sure how they'll be impacted too much. I mean, we've seen some data from actually one of another company that buys and sells land, showing throughout the recession and how it changed. And while the housing market changed a lot, the stock market obviously went down a lot during the recession. The land market was actually not impacted from a standpoint of the price that they were able to buy property, the price they were able to sell property. And so that data was very consistent. The spreads stayed the same in the meantime. So I don't think the land market is nearly as dynamic. It's very slow moving. There needs to be a lot of transactions happening in order for like prices to fluctuate a ton, and that's just not going to be the case even in a stress scenario. So I think for order for prices to drop, there just needs to be a lot more activity, and I don't see that happening. So I think there might be some more willing sellers, but I don't think that the prices are going to drop very much. So I mean, we'll find out, but I feel pretty confident that there's not going to be too much of a change for this market.
I agree. I don't see really almost no matter what happens. I don't think there's going to be any reason for us to need to drop our prices. They're already relatively low just by the way that we do business. We're able to mark or price our properties generally on the lower end. And then on top of that, it's not like there's a big housing disaster right now. I think it's just something that that people are going to continue to buy land. The prices already are not ridiculous, and I don't think anyone's expecting them to be dropping like crazy, even though there is a little bit of uncertainty right now. Land is land. It's not, again, there's none being made anymore. I think it's just going to continue to be as in demand as it has been.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, with land being land, like Willie, why do you think the fundamentals of this business are so strong?
Yeah, so I think we talked about it a little bit, but
I think we can dive deeper.
Sorry?
I said I think we could dive a little deeper. Oh,
yeah, we could dive deeper. But I would say from a standpoint of a recession, like the business is so strong because we're sending out. Like I described, if in the event of default, we as the buyers will get it back, or as the owners of the property, we get the property back. So that you're covered in that end. But I would also say that the margins in this business are so silly, and we emphasize that a lot. Like we literally have 85% gross margins when we sell property, and in most businesses that's like unheard of margins. And when you think about this is real estate, that is like especially unheard of. You will not find another niche in real estate where you're going to get 85% gross margins upon a sale. So because there's so much, and by 85% gross margins, that means if I buy a property for $1,500, that means I sell it for 10 grand on average. And so in the event the market declines a bit, so say the market actually does decrease 20%, which I think would be a very bad fall for the land market. Since we bought it at 15 cents, we could still sell it at 50, 60, 70 cents and still sell it at like well below market value and still get our money out. So even in a really stressed scenario, since we're able to source these properties at huge discounts, like we're going to be fine. And Warren Buffett always touts margin of safety when buying assets. And when he thinks about buying businesses, he always says you should be buying it at a discount to market value. And we're buying these things at like stupid discounts. You won't be able to buy that in 95% of markets. So I think it's that is really in the benefit of the land market. But what I would also say is that holding costs are extremely low. And by that, I mean, so we're not levered in this business model. So we don't have any debt. We don't have any interest or principal payments to be making each month. Whereas other niches in real estate, like if you're out there flipping houses and you take out a hard money loan to buy property and then fix and spend the money to buy the property and then do all the repairs and fix and flip it, like you could be stuck holding the bag in that case because one, you're stuck making those payments and you might not be making money during the time of in a recessionary environment, but two, you don't know what the market's going to be like at the end of that time frame. So you might be like, say the times now when the housing market has dried up, because I think the housing market is way more likely to dry up in people are way less likely to want to take on a development project. Like you don't know what that market's going to be like after you finish the project, so you can really be stuck at that point. But our holding costs are literally the taxes, and we're not levered. We're not paying interest or principal when we're buying these properties. And so, at the absolute worst case scenario, I mean, David, you just sent out the tax bill. What are we paying? What are people paying on taxes for these lots?
Just today, like I helped someone pay their taxes. They were $11 for this. I mean, like it literally like they're like average about like 60 bucks is probably a pretty reasonable number. I mean, obviously the bigger the property and the better the location, the taxes are going to be relatively higher, but that's closer to like $200 or $300, not like thousands of dollars. It's not even close.
Right. So like paying $60 a year, that's literally a year. So say you can't sell a property for 6 months because of a horrible scenario. On average, we sell our properties 30 to 45 days. And you say you expect to sell your property in 30 to 45 days, but whatever, for whatever horrible scenario, you're not able to sell for 3 to 6 months. In that case, what's the worst case? You had to pay taxes for an additional tax period. So you had to pay $60. So your downside is literally $60. And so I think that makes a very compelling reason why, like even in a terrible scenario, recessionary environment, this is still going to be fine. But I would say lastly, like market demand, and I want to dig into this with David a little bit, but the market demand for land is not going to. I mean, there's always going to be consistent demand, and we're going to talk about that right now with David or in a minute. But like people are always going to need a place to go live. They're going to want a place to go move, like for the weekend, and they're going to want a recreational property. Like the demand for vacant land is not going to change in a recession. So I think we're going to see, and we'll discuss this in a minute, but I think the demand over the time frame is not going to go down. And so I think the combination of all those things, when you compare it to other real estate niches and other business models you can get into in a recessionary environment, there's really none that I could think of that you're better positioned. And last I want to say is like, if a market declines, so say that prices go down 15-20% for the land market, like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. Say that does happen, all you do is you're going to buy property cheaper and you're going to sell property cheaper. And the spread in between is not necessarily going to change, but I think the combination of all those things is going to still make it a very compelling niche to get involved, even in a recession. So I think that's my insight there, Paul.
Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about David, can you talk about the sales volume like this week versus 2 months ago?
I think if someone was in a coma for the past 2 months and saw the leads coming in 2 months ago compared to now, they would not know that there's any difference and that there is a virus that is keeping everyone quarantined in their homes. They're like, every morning I wake up with overnight 20 new leads come in. During the day, it's pretty consistently flowing in, a couple every hour. I mean, there's a lot of buzz going on right now. Like, so I guess maybe the people that are inquiring are not the same people as 2 months ago, but now like I've been on the phone with people who are looking to just kind of prepare for the worst. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who want to be ready for the worst case scenario. And a lot of the times, if you're going to get ready for that worst case scenario, the first thing you're going to need is your own piece of land out in wherever you're going to be probably selling land is a place where people are going to be looking for land to buy to get away from the inner city or these really high dense places. No, the lead volume is great. Essentially, there's really no difference. My life has not changed really since I'm here in Mexico. Like everything's groovy with me. This quarantine is not on our business, and we're perfectly fine.
Yeah. So I mean, with that, I mean that's the reason why we have no change to our business model is because everything is still flowing. We have no reason to change anything up. And like I just described, I don't want to harp on it anymore. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the fundamentals are so sound in any environment that there's no reason for us to change anything that we're doing.
Yeah. And David, what I mean, you're talking to buyers every single day. Can you talk about like why are people buying right now? What are some of the stories that you're hearing out there in the field?
For the same reasons they always have. I mean, that yes, there's a group of people that are looking to get their piece of land away from everybody in case the worst case scenario happens and they need to protect themselves. Otherwise, people are looking to build their dream homes. People are looking to move out and purchase a property as an investment. Really, there hasn't been like a shift in the way that people are thinking. Everyone continues to want to buy land. Yes, some people are impacted by the virus and maybe have been furloughed or lost their jobs, but it's kind of a thing. I think there's plenty of optimism that this is going to be something that we're all going to get through, and people aren't planning on a huge disaster where they're going to lose everything. People are ready and antsy to kind of continue to move forward and move on with their lives and build a investment portfolio, have something to pass down to their family, have a recreational space where they can go out and play with their toys. It's all the same. Nothing. Everyone, the confidence doesn't seem to be faltering, as far as I can see.
I would agree with that. We were a little worried about a month ago, like what's going to happen, and I think it's been working out just fine. With that being said, Willie, what type of businesses would you avoid right now?
Before we get into that, you want to get to the chat a little bit? I see we've got several questions. So aside from buying less, what other pivots? I can't see the user's name for whatever reason, what I'm looking at, but it says aside from buying less, what other pivots are you making right now? So I would say we're not really changing much, and we are continuing to buy. There was about a week where we slowed down, but I think we're going to continue moving forward at the same speed. And so I would say because we haven't seen anything fall on the sell side, and no leads, or the lead volume has not changed. There's no reason for us to change. So I think we're going to keep it relatively the same. Someone else says fundamentals are good. If you guys can see the names of these people, it would be good to point out. But fundamentals are good, but I would like to hear how this can be scaled massively. And so we've talked about that in other lives and other content. Paul, I don't know, Paul or Dave, do you want to touch upon that?
I mean, it basically takes 100% of your content. Like, you need to just focus on this specifically. Like, if you want to massively scale this, you just have to commit to putting more money into the business, paying more money for marketing, like getting as much information as you can out to the people. And I mean, you send out mail. I mean, it's really just focusing all your efforts on buying more property, and then as you buy more property, you're just inherently going to sell more property as well.
And real quick, I want to, anyone that's watching like on YouTube or not in our Facebook group yet, if you can go ahead and join our group, the land flipping formula. That's, if you want to talk about land and you're interested in getting started in the land business, or you want to level up your land business, go ahead and join our Facebook group, Land Flipping Formula. So that's my quick shameless plug for our Facebook group.
Okay. Someone else says, I want to be like David. Dave, you want to talk about why people want to be you?
Maybe because I'm in Mexico.
I want to be like David.
Apartments. I don't know. I consider myself like unbelievably lucky. A lot of people are not. For a lot of people, this is not business as usual right now, and I definitely don't want to. I don't want to jinx myself or anybody out there who is still doing great work, but this business has given us the opportunity to continue on as usual, and things are all right. Like, again, I'm here on vacation, so like nothing has really been negatively impacted. Like, every day I'm still on the phone with people who are looking to buy properties. I have a lot of confidence that we're going to continue to do business and do a lot of business. And it's really it's a blessing to be able to kind of wake up in the morning and know that things are all right, and that like your business is not necessarily at risk of falling apart because of these outside circumstances that we can't control. And it's just one of those things that, I mean, if you get into this business, I don't think it would be hard to, we're very lucky. And I definitely think that if you were involved in this business in some way, you'd feel the same way. you wouldn't be nervous. You'd have there's not too much risk, and it's right now things are all right. Again, Mexico, come on.
Yeah.
David, how well do you sleep at night? Saying with all that being said,
I sleep just fine. I really, I mean, I can't even stress enough like how lucky I feel that I really don't worry too much about what's going on. That like things that I cannot control are not my worry right now because I just know that things are going to continue to be all right with us.
Okay. Someone also wants to know: were you able to buy matzah in Mexico? It is Passover, so were you able to get some?
I was not, unfortunately.
They don't sell matzah in Mexico.
It would be pretty hard to keep Passover in Mexico too. I love those. I like tacos too much. I like. I'm not gonna not eat the breaded coconut shrimp. You know.
Here's a good one. Do you think builders are more reluctant to purchase lots or do construction at this time?
No, I think maybe this specific time for the next month or so, people are going to be cautious with what they do. But I mean, even here in Chicago, I know that people are, or excuse me, I'm in Mexico, but I know what's going on in Chicago. And like a lot of these big developments that are happening out here, the developers understand that there is a lot of uncertainty, but they expect that after we do get through this virus, that things are going to continue to kind of be business as usual. There's going to be a demand for property, for businesses, for anything, and we're going to hopefully kind of be back and stronger than ever. And I think that that'll go the same for these home builders where we're selling properties. People are still going to be ready to develop on this land, and there are still going to be people moving out into vacant lots where they can kind of start their own life there. And I think builders are just going to continue to build and fulfill that demand.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I have no idea. We don't sell too many builders. The amount of people who go get permits and build on our property, not too many. So I don't know about that, but I think that's good insight. Any other questions you guys see? I think I see.
For terms deals, do you allow buyers to build on the property before they fully paid off? I think someone asked the same question yesterday. Yeah, we do. Willie, you run it. We've had this.
Yeah. So we do. It's a good selling point and another need that's in the market. So we offer it to people, and most people don't do anything on the property. To be very honest, I've had like very few people who have actually pulled permits and start doing stuff. So Aiden says, guys, how do taxes on your profits impact what states you buy in? So that is a good question. And
understand that there's a lot of uncertainty,
but yeah, so I think it probably should go into your diligence. So maybe look at state income taxes. It really hasn't impacted how I've done my diligence, but it probably should looking back. So maybe going into states that are lower income tax states, it's probably not a bad idea, especially if you find some good markets. Billy Griffin says, for terms deals, do you allow buyers? Okay, sorry, that's what you just asked. Aiden says, I think with the bad economy, there will be more of demand for people to buy. Yeah, so it's definitely possible. We'll see how it plays out. All right. Any other questions you guys see?
Not that I can see here.
Okay.
Let's see.
So I guess this might have been answered, but I guess what types of things are you hearing from buyers? And yes, we've had a few people buy because of everything that's going on, right, David?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like,
I remember the first day there was that guy who called up and panic bought that lot in Florida. He was just like, I need something now. And then he just bought it. Remember that?
I certainly do. It was a very easy sale. Again, there is a group of people that are looking to kind of prepare for the worst, but and that doesn't just mean right now, like people are kind of consistently always getting ready for the worst case scenario. And everyone else is, again, like the trend of wanting to leave the big cities and kind of get out and do your own thing is still very strong. And if anything, it's going to be stronger because rent in these cities is so high. And if there is that problem where people aren't able to pay their rent, then an unbelievable thing is to pay not rent, but pay for a property that you're eventually going to own that you could live on. I think it would only become more popular because of this. People are going to want to leave the city, get away from large density, get away from the high rent. They're going to want to take control of their lives, do something themselves where they're going to be making these payments like rent, but that are not just being thrown away. They're being put towards a property that they're going to eventually be the owners of. And I think that that's something that people are still very, very motivated to get started on. I've seen no drop off in people wanting to get out of the city and kind of start their own thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I that's kind of what I expected to hear from you.
It's very predictable. I'm going to sound predictable for all the time because this is a good one, and I'm not going to have too many crazy things to say.
Definitely. Yeah, so business I would avoid, Paul, answering your question earlier, I would say anything that has pretty high fixed costs. I think anything. So I mean, there's several business models that just aren't doing super well right now. Anything retail is not doing well. So any restaurants, any retail stores are not doing well, obviously. Fitness classes are not doing well. I mean, I've gotten plenty of emails showing,
You're
telling me
a
that
big
things
flywheel guy. Can you talk about that a little bit? How not being able to go to flywheel has affected
Yes,
your
it's
life?
been tough. It's been tough. I like to spin sometimes. Yeah, that they might be not doing so well right now. And yeah, they send me emails stating that trying to get me to unfreeze a subscription, but and hopefully all these places come back. I don't really know what the situation is with the rents. I know everyone's laying off people, everyone's firing people, so those places aren't doing well. Like fitness, retail, stores, restaurants are doing badly. Anything with high fixed costs are probably not doing is not like a business model that I'd want to be in. I mean, as I got started in this business, my fixed costs were so low. You don't have any like rent expense. You got no employees to pay when you're getting started. So fixed costs for this business are super low. But I would say I would avoid starting a business with that high overhead. And
so when you say like that, like I'm thinking of like house flipping. Like I would not flip a house right now. Really,
so house flipping, yeah. So other niches in real estate that require leverage, I would not be super inclined to take out debt right now. That is one of the last things I'd want to do right now because especially that's project by project oriented like that because like I said, you don't know what the market's going to be like after you finish a development project. So I would say I think those businesses, I bet there's a ton of those businesses that are probably failing right now. And other niches in real estate that, like I said, that require a lot of leverage. But I think this one's pretty, like I said, I don't want to harp too much on the fundamentals, but this one's pretty safe bet. So I think those are the things that are being impacted. I mean, airlines are getting crushed right now. Energy industry is getting crushed right now. There's no demand for oil, and the oil market's getting crushed. So, I mean, this recession isn't equal for everyone. It is very bad for some, and it is not so bad for others, and it is probably beneficial for some as well. So, I mean, you got to take it in perspective and just think, do a little bit of thinking, and look at the fundamentals of all the businesses you might be considering, and think how is this going to be impacted. And so that gets to my question to you, Paul. How is this impacting Amazon? So, for those of you guys who aren't familiar, Paul he's been running an Amazon business for how many years?
Pushing 5 years.
Pushing 5 years, and so he's still running it right now. He's hired out people to do everything for him, so he can focus on the land business. But how is this impacting your Amazon business right now?
So I'm in like a tight knit community of like 350 people, and it's really like a broad spectrum. So the people that are selling, like I know a guy who specializes in collegiate gear, and his business is decimated. Some people are way down and some people are up. Our business, we are up 20% over March over February. So our business has been positively impacted. And you have to, some of the issues though are that Amazon is prioritizing certain products, which is probably illegal. Just the way that they've been handling what the situation has been not so great and fair to sellers. But our team has luckily been on the positive side of this. But I have a lot of friends who are really struggling right now. But overall, like, there's way more people on Amazon right now because they don't want to go to the store. They don't want to go out. They want to buy everything online. So it definitely has positively impacted our business. There are some, there has been some falters and things that we're working through. There's been a lot of struggling, but it seems like they're slowly evening everything out. So I would say definitely up and definitely been good for our business. So
yeah. So I think that puts in perspective, like like I said, you got to think about what the business model is. So what is good about Amazon? Well, for you, your products happen to be the ones that are doing pretty well, and but you said that Amazon is prioritizing some sellers over others and some products over others, and I think that goes to the point of, I mean, you've described it before, but Amazon having all the control. So I mean, that's one thing about Amazon that you didn't like. That I mean, that this business is a little bit better on, not related to a recession, but just fundamentally, Amazon has control over things that you don't want it to have control over. Whereas this one, you're the one selling the product, so you have a little bit more control.
you have a lot more control in this business. You're 100% in control.
Yeah.
And I love that. Let's do a few more questions here. Let's see, David, you got anything?
Not that I could see that on land flipping formula.
I think that's pretty good for today. What do you guys think?
I think it's pretty solid. So yeah, if anyone has any further questions on this topic, feel free to post in the Land Flipping Formula Facebook group. And if you're not in the Facebook group, please join. And if you're interested in getting started land investing, our website is landinvestingpros.com. So you can find more information about us on there. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Go out and sell some properties.
Yeah, this is. I feel very lucky to be in this business, and I think you would too. If you were kind of rocking and rolling right now, you'd be very comfortable with the current situation.
Yep. Cool. And with that, enjoy Mexico, David. Paul, I don't know how you got out of this jail cell, but I do like the background.
I'm free.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today, and we will.